I realized I'm not a punching bag anymore and fought my brother for an hour he filmed it. I won't be their target any longer. I created a temporary account because I prefer not to have any connection to this situation. All the names mentioned in this narrative are fictitious. I, a 13-year-old male, am essentially here to express my frustrations regarding the past 5 years of my existence, more or less. When I was 8, I relocated to a new home and enrolled in a different school, same town, merely a different area. In my previous school, I was well loved and had numerous friends. Starting over was challenging for me. I faced difficulties in fitting in and was bullied until 5th grade, when the primary bully moved to another state. I have a passion for creating and reading comics, and I began sharing my work with other students, which significantly increased my popularity. By this point, I was 10 years old. During the period when I struggled to make friends mostly impacted by COVID-19, since I moved in the summer of 2019, and began the 2019-2020 academic year at this new school, I felt quite low about myself since I was isolated at home without friends. I yearned for my previous life, particularly longing for my old best friend, Miles, so intensely that I confusingly intertwined my feelings of missing Miles with romantic feelings towards him. I am a heterosexual male and have no issues with anyone in the LGBTQ community, but I cannot experience any feelings for another male that extend beyond friendship. This philosophy is significant later in my story. Eventually, I transitioned to middle school where, to shorten a lengthy story, I poorly approached a girl, notably the most attractive one in the school. It was an epic fail. I mention this because I confided in my younger brother, Alex, about it long ago. Alex continues to hold this over me and teases me about it. This incident occurred when I was 11 years old. I have had quite a tumultuous relationship with my brother throughout his life. I used to roughhouse with him when we were toddlers because I am a year older, and I am not proud of that. But at this point, I feel indifferent towards him. The primary reason I created this post is that I have consistently been the scapegoat for the drama and negativity experienced by those around me. Although I share great moments and memories with them, I cannot disregard how I am often treated differently, especially by Miles, and this feels much more severe than it does for others. I am a safe outlet for my mother to express her feelings, and she has disclosed numerous details about her past to me, not really to my brother, expecting more maturity from me since I am the oldest child. As for my father, we share a very relaxed relationship. We do not communicate much, yet we often enjoy each other's company in comfortable silence, occasionally discussing various topics. My brother engages in behaviors he knows irritate me, and I cannot stand it. He never allows me to relax. Whenever I begin to succeed at something, be it financially, professionally, or personally, he persistently attempts to destroy it. He has eased off somewhat on his antics, though. I often find myself playing the role of the punching bag among my friends. Within my main friend group, I have various friends who are not closely connected to each other. I tend to be the one who is easiest to tease. I engage in roasting them and receive the same in return, yet I still feel accepted as part of the group, just the one who is the most easily jabbed at. However, with Miles, and to some extent my other friends Samuel and Layla, the teasing becomes much more personal. Yes, I can take a joke, but Miles often threatens to expose my embarrassing feelings I had at 8 years old. I confided this to him when I was around 12, and it hurts because I trusted him with this deeply embarrassing secret that nobody else knows. It isn't solely about the secret itself, but the fact that he is so willing to use it against me, for laughs, infuriates me. On the school bus, I usually have to sit next to my brother's friends due to lack of available seats. There are often about 7 of them, picking on me, hitting, name-calling, yelling, etc., which has resulted in the bus driver summoning the principal to reprimand us for our conduct. They have thrown water bottles at passing cars, aimed them at other passengers, and screamed at the top of their lungs, generally causing chaos. For years, I have endured being the outlet for the frustrations many people around me face, especially regarding Miles, who shares personal insults about my insecurities, attacks me, stabs me with pencils, and punches me. I am utterly exhausted by this treatment. I believe this is the root of my former feelings of worthlessness, that my only role in life was to serve others, while any aspirations for myself were inconsequential. I convinced myself I brought no value to the world when others were so at ease treating me like an emotional punching bag. For a long time, I accepted this and allowed myself to feel all right about being mistreated. Recently, I have begun to make positive changes in my life. I have been deepening my spirituality with Christianity, which I believe contributes to my self-improvement. I have no issue with those who do not follow this faith. Exercising, learning self-defense, enhancing my cooking skills, improving my musical talent, reading literature, and consuming content that encourages my growth instead of mindless junk. One aspect that frustrates me greatly is how Miles and Layla label me as arrogant. I struggled with my sense of worth and resigned myself to being an emotional punching bag for years, yet I am perceived as egotistical for finally understanding that I am not worthless, unattractive, weak, or unintelligent. I am completely open to constructive criticism from others, provided it is not merely derogatory, and I have engaged in considerable self-reflection through it. Recently, I had a humorous exchange with Miles. Miles, dude, you are so unattractive. Me, you should not throw stones, my friend. Look at yourself. Miles, I acknowledge that, but I am not as egotistical as you. Upon reflection, none of our interactions genuinely suggest that I possess a large ego. Miles is certainly a good-looking guy, but that is just part of our light-hearted teasing. I also consider myself fairly good-looking. Miles can readily socialize with anyone else, but with me, it becomes an endless string of insults unless he feels like being friendly. He targets more intimate insecurities about me than I do about him. I might call him a nerd, while he critiques my vulnerabilities. As for my brother, I have tried to include him in my workouts. I usually follow an exercise plan on our television, a shout-out to a fantastic fitness YouTuber, Bully Juice. This morning, while we were exercising, our parents had us pause to take care of some chores. My brother assisted my mother with her bags as she prepared for work. I had to empty the trash can and clean it. Once he finished, he resumed the workout without waiting for me, causing me to miss part of it. This workout only lasts 10 minutes. I was quite frustrated with him, but as I was about to overlook it, he made a comment about, "You snooze, you lose." I couldn't possibly snooze while I was taking out the trash. Then he kicked me. Already irritated, I retaliated, leading to a physical altercation that lasted about 30 minutes to an hour. In retrospect, we were fairly evenly matched. Neither of us was willing to concede, and the winning position shifted between us every couple of minutes. The situation devolved into an argument about who was winning. He kept insisting on a score of 4-0, while I believed we both fought well. I have to give him credit, he is good at fighting. However, in the heat of the moment, I refused to let him dominate me, so I started saying things like, "You don't even know what you are talking about," and "I completely overpowered you. You are just upset." Arguably, it should have been considered a tie, but neither of us wanted to accept defeat. The argument continued, and then he involved his friends who had no connection to our fight. He pulled out his iPad, filming me and subsequently posting it on his Snapchat. He called a friend, falsely telling him I was disparaging him, which stirred anger among his friends, leading them to encourage my brother to fight me. Again, none of the actual physical exchanges were recorded. He even mentioned discussions I had about his other friends. One friend, friend A, enjoys being excessively irritating and at one point stole the tackies I purchased after school, which I had to retrieve from him after I had exited the bus. I was furious about this and made comments about wanting to confront him physically, only for him to return the tackies the following day. Thinking back, I recognize how unreasonable I was in my response, but I believe my anger was understandable since I had paid for those tackies and was deprived of them that day. That does not excuse my behavior, but I firmly believe my feelings of frustration were warranted. Friend B has visited our home before, and my mother prepared rice and steak for him. The following week, B took some of my brother's belongings, estimated to be worth around $30 to $40, and lost them. I was very upset about this, but the only opportunity to express my anger would have been on the bus, surrounded by people who would likely defend him and turn on me, so I simply called him a derogatory term in front of my brother. As for friend C, he is undeniably strong for his age. Back in April, during a roasting match, this is one of his friends with whom I have a solid rapport. Our competition devolved into ridiculous threats to physically confront each other as jokes. Friend D, whom I interact with infrequently, is often annoying but has endured a challenging home life. My brother began spreading rumors that I disparaged friend D behind his back. They all take great offense to being called a derogatory term, despite the numerous times they have directed it toward me in a joking manner. Now, my brother is attempting to orchestrate fights between me and his friends. Frankly, I do not care much for many of his companions, but I am aware that any altercation could significantly jeopardize my academic future. It's not that I am afraid to fight. Even if I won, it would be filmed and online, which could damage my record. I strive to maintain straight A's, with aspirations of becoming a doctor in the future, so I cannot afford to take such risks. I have grown weary of my brother. He is willing to sabotage my life and make my existence a nightmare. He is responsible for my computer's destruction, which he kicked and cracked the screen. My humiliation at school, he bloodied my lip during a wrestling match for the remote. My lost earnings, $100 from a spelling bee. And for outright stealing from me, he logs onto my gaming accounts and donates my in-game currency to himself, despite my device's facial recognition identifying him as me. I am utterly fed up with him. I am frustrated with Miles as well. I am supposed to be the guy he has been friends with for 10 years, yet I seem to be his emotional punching bag for every frustration. Nonetheless, there are moments when he genuinely treats me like a friend. Somehow, I am branded egotistical for recognizing my self-worth, but I digress. I have reached my limit in being the emotional punching bag for those around me, Miles, my brother, his friends, and so forth. I will continue to focus on my personal progress. I will live for myself. I will develop my spiritual beliefs, embrace fitness, read, acquire knowledge, and so on. That will be the essence of my life. Am I in the wrong for feeling this way? Thank you for taking the time to read my story. Story 2. I stormed out on Valentine's after a fight, feeling unsafe and overwhelmed, yet he thinks it means I want to break up. What now? My attachment style is characterized as avoidant disorganized, while his is rooted in anxiety. I have engaged in therapy to enhance my mental well-being, and he has explored literature, viewed videos and podcasts, and discussed topics on Reddit. We have both made efforts to strengthen our relationship, but it feels as though everything fell apart today. I cannot share screenshots of our conversation, so the details are below. Nothing has been altered. I am drawing upon every lesson I have acquired from therapy and self-help resources, yet I am feeling despondent. In past disagreements, he has expressed, "I just want you to be your true self." Everything you say seems like a programmed reply. My true self is in disarray because the person he initially met is not the same as who I am now. I was not authentic with myself as I did not even understand my own identity, being a people pleaser who prioritized others above myself. I have been striving to improve my self-esteem and resist self-sabotaging tendencies because I often feel unworthy of love. If others are happy, then I find happiness. I recognize that this is unhealthy. I have worked diligently to rebuild my self-worth, yet I feel foolish for trying when he claims I am not being honest with him. I am seeking an outside perspective as my friends will likely be biased in my favor. I apologize if this message seems disorganized. As evident, I am an emotional mess. I fail to understand why you would ruin such a significant moment. I invested so much effort into making it joyful through a thoughtful gift, and you take it to such an extent. The gifts now hold no meaning besides reminding me of a terrible moment that you chose to create. I appreciate the chips and water. Take your time, if that is what you need. I believe you should use this time to reflect and consider my viewpoint. As you stated, people have desires, and I did not wish to spoil this occasion. Remember that I apologized for upsetting you and inquired about how we could proceed. We have both worked diligently towards honest, open communication without feeling attacked. We both felt attacked by each other, which is why I requested some space, as I could sense myself undoing all the progress made through therapy, self-help books, and our conversations. I have a place to retreat to, and while I recognize that this might not always be the case, it reflects how emotionally unstable I am at the moment. I do not want to react and potentially hurt you out of my own need for safety. You should be my safe haven, but I did not feel that way just moments ago. We are both to blame in this situation, and you know we process emotional events differently. I am requesting some time apart so I can stabilize myself and communicate with you when I am calm and have considered your perspective as well. You took all your belongings, threw a cherished jacket at me, and left on Valentine's Day after I gave you a meaningful gift meant to draw us closer, and you expect me to consider your perspective. You shouted at me from the foot of the bed. I placed all your items in a box because I do not want reminders of such a dreadful event, and I am currently struggling to recall any positive aspects of our relationship. You did not attack me. You escalated it to an ultimate betrayal. I never want to witness that behavior again, and I deserve better treatment. If you intend to act like this for the length of our relationship, that is something you should consider seriously. Do not ever use the threat of a breakup against me. Ever. I will indeed be reflecting on this. I may be at fault for being upset over a minor attitude adjustment and for maintaining my stance, but I certainly did not threaten you with a breakup over something so insignificant. This will be my final comment, since it seems irrelevant what we say to each other at this point. Those who hold the threat of a breakup over someone when they do not get their way are exhibiting controlling behavior. So please take time to contemplate that. I will also be reflecting now, which may take me a considerable amount of time to process. 39. I have never once threatened you with break separation. I simply stated that I needed space and had to leave because I was not okay and could feel myself becoming increasingly reactive, throwing your flannel back at you and gathering my personal items. I felt unsafe when you declared, "You better resolve this here and now." Emotional manipulation is never acceptable, and we have discussed this comprehensively. We have agreed on boundaries and established trust to discuss upsetting issues openly without judgment. As you mentioned, it is difficult to communicate when one is angry. You were upset with me because I pulled my arm away forcefully, and you interpreted it as anger directed towards the way you responded to my inquiry. I conveyed that I was not angry and apologized for any hurt my actions may have caused you. I understand why you perceived it that way, and I clarified that it was not my intention and asked how we could move forward. You insisted I was angry, invalidated my apology and feelings, and then said, "I wish you could be honest about your emotions," which did upset me. Thus, we spiraled into an emotionally charged debate about who said what, when, and where. This led to me feeling overwhelmed because I had to defend myself for needing time to process my feelings, as I am actively working on addressing my reactive tendencies that have caused us pain in the past, feelings of victimhood and shame. It has been just over a year, and you assert that you believe you know who I am. You are correct, you do. However, as you wrote in the card, our relationship has evolved positively, and changes will continue as we share our lives. We will face challenges like these wherein we have contrasting views regarding an event. The emphasis should be on how we overcome these obstacles through positive reinforcement or finding common ground. You took all of your belongings. If that isn't a clear message of breaking up, then I do not know what is. You have done this every time, and I warned you the last time not to repeat it, or I would take it seriously. You used to issue verbal threats in the past and stopped, but now your actions imply, "I took everything with me so I can leave easily if we break up." I am not naive. That behavior does not indicate contemplating things. It is a tactic to make the other person feel punished and controlled. I took my belongings because I was slipping back into a reactive state where I did not feel safe. I did not wish to return to an environment where I felt unwelcome. My frustration was escalating, and our communication was no longer collaborative. We were merely speaking at each other. I cannot dictate your behavior, and you cannot dictate mine. We have punished each other enough through our arguments, leading to unsubstantiated accusations that became unfair. I have no idea what you are talking about anymore. You made the choice to leave in reflection, so go ahead and do that. I am sorry you allowed yourself to regress into a reactive mindset of threatening me. The Valentine's gifts are stored away because they only remind me of a dreadful experience. Moreover, you pushed the situation so far when I explicitly told you not to that you lost control and ceased to care about how you were behaving in public, which has happened multiple times in the past, driving me to the point of shattering a gift because you effectively indicated that you do not value our relationship, Valentine's Day, or how we appear to others. By taking all your belongings, You are indicating that you do not wish to continue this relationship. If I had to guess, you do not. You create a spectacle when we break up to portray me as the villain and rationalize the separation. I'm starting to wonder if you intentionally do this because you desire for me to end things. I understand the importance of public behavior, and admittedly, I have struggled with understanding social cues. However, we were both overwhelmed in the privacy of your room, and my focus was solely on us. Yes, I should have been more considerate of others in the house, but my emotions were hurt, and I resorted to shouting because I felt unheard. I am not treating this situation as a game. I have been transparent about my intentions for a long-term commitment by working on myself and fostering trust. I believe you trust me less than I trust you, and that pains me. Am I solely to blame because of my past words and actions? Yes, I am working on myself and will continue to do so. We have both acknowledged that miscommunication often arises in our texts. I am not attempting to push you away. I ask that you recognize my care for you. Please grant me this time to stabilize myself so that I can speak with you when I am emotionally sound. I am unsure what more to say about this than you yelled at me, stated that you do not care about how our relationship ends, and demonstrated a lack of self-control regarding your emotions. Furthermore, I can already anticipate your pattern of crafting an emotional narrative after repeatedly threatening me with breakup or using the excuse that it is due to your menstrual cycle. I also do not wish to hear the question of, then why are you with me? Take responsibility, or do not return at all. Actions are more telling than words, and I do not see you changing behaviors like yelling at me and losing composure in public. If you need time to contemplate, feel free, but I am uncertain how to address this behavior moving forward. I hope you return with more than the justification that my emotions were hurt, which grants me the right to publicly embarrass or humiliate you and threaten you with breakup. At some point, we both need to make a conscious decision about whether this relationship can succeed if this kind of behavior persists. Story 3. My friend changed her mind last minute, used our gig as a cover to meet a guy she's been flirting with, and manipulated us both. I would like to start by stating that I struggle with significant depression and anxiety, and the voice in my mind urging me to end my life is always present, no matter what else is happening. The only time I experience a genuine break from this relentless mental turmoil is during music concerts where the sound is so intense that I feel it deep within my core. However, as a full-time postgraduate student, I am unable to attend many music events due to financial constraints, making that time and experience extremely valuable to me. I had recently contemplated attending a concert by a band I enjoy that was performing in my country for the first time. The tickets were reasonably priced, about 1/3 of what one would typically pay for an arena-sized show. I have 2 friends with whom I usually attend concerts, and I have communicated how vital these experiences are to me. While I did not disclose my battles with depression or suicidal thoughts, they understand the significance of these outings. When I mentioned a couple of months ago that I was considering going to this concert if my budget allowed, friend A was enthusiastic, but friend B declined, stating that she had a major festival with her partner the following week and needed to save money for merchandise, which I completely understood. As time passed, I kept discussing the concert. Friend A remained eager, while friend B was still unable to attend. A few weeks prior to the concert, I decided I genuinely wanted to go. I informed my friends, and friend A was fully on board, while friend B still could not make it, which I respected. A few days later, I intended to secure tickets for myself and friend, and chose to check in with friend B first before proceeding with the purchase, as this is our usual practice. To my surprise, friend B claimed she would attend after all, after months of saying she couldn't. Although this struck me as a bit odd, I was just pleased that both could join me, as some of my best memories are shared with them. So I bought the tickets, and they transferred me their parts. Everything seemed fine. Less than 3 hours later, friend B texted me saying that she had just learned some of her other friends would be attending as well, indicating that she might wander off to meet them and then return to us. At that point, everything still felt acceptable. However, a detail I overlooked was that she only referred to friends without specifying who they were, which was unusual since she typically names her friends, even the ones I have not met. As days went by, Friend B expressed that she might stay after the concert to have drinks with the other friends if friend, and I wanted to leave at the end of the show. This behavior was quite unusual because we always arrive and depart together from concerts, but I could see her desire to reconnect with friends she hadn't seen in a while. A couple of days before the concert, friend announced in our group chat that she had taken on a morning shift for the day after the concert and would need to leave immediately after the show. Before I even saw this message, friend B suggested that I take friend home as soon as the concert ended, which felt somewhat inconsiderate if I'm being honest. However, since I was driving, it made sense. Friend B also asked if I could pick up another friend on the way who was planning to stay at a hotel. I had the space, so I agreed. I found it peculiar that this friend, who had purchased a ticket for a relatively small concert, with a capacity of about 500 people, hadn't arranged for a hotel at the same time. Suddenly, friend B mentioned that she had offered for this friend to stay at her place, but the friend felt uneasy about it. When I raised my concerns about this being strange, I was told rather abruptly to drop the topic. The day before the concert, friend B revealed where we needed to pick up the friend, Bobby. The mention of Bobby immediately connected a few dots in my mind. Bobby is someone friend B had been flirting with on Snapchat. I know this because she has shown me their exchanges. Bobby lives 3 hours away in friend B's hometown. So, I am expected to believe that Bobby, who lives 3 hours away, has suddenly heard of this band, which is performing here for the first time, possible but unlikely, and he somehow acquired a ticket, possibility, yet didn't book a hotel in advance, even though he would have had to purchase the concert ticket weeks earlier, implausible. Especially considering the venue's limited capacity, which probably puts him outside its promotional reach, very unlikely. Moreover, within 3 hours of friend B's affirmation, Bobby is somehow also going to the same concert, and friend B casually mentions it during that time, extremely slim odds. And coincidentally, it happens to be the person she has been flirting with for several months. Not a chance. Throughout this time, friend B has been vague about the other friends who would be joining. Here's the crux of the matter: I don't mind that Bobby will be there. I liked Bobby. What troubles me is that friend B agreed to attend after previously stating she could not go, which she then used as an excuse to meet up with Bobby. It was clear from their interactions that no other friends were involved, and Bobby was attending specifically to see friend B, not as a mere coincidence. I feel hurt and angry because I believe I have been deceived. Friend B could have been honest with me at any point. It seems that both friend A and I have been manipulated into being an excuse for friend B to see Bobby. The situation escalated at the end of the concert when friend B insisted multiple times within just a few minutes that I needed to take friend A home since they were tired, while she planned to linger with Bobby and return to his hotel later. This frustrated me because it was obvious she was trying to dismiss us as quickly as possible. Once we left, friend A, who has anxiety about voicing their opinions in a group, mentioned that they would have preferred to stay longer since the concert concluded sooner than they anticipated, and they were not actually tired. During the drive home, friend A also pointed out that friend B had been acting quite inconsistently with me throughout the night, which was unusual, often ignoring me when Bobby was around or occasionally flirting with me to provoke jealousy before directing more attention toward me when Bobby stepped away. I was so upset during the drive home that I confided in friend about what I was experiencing and revealed that I have been managing without medication for roughly 5 years, as the side effects significantly affected my academic performance, lowering my grades by 15–20%. I now feel that I may have to resume medication, which I dread because the side effects can be quite severe for me. This entire situation has tarnished the one thing that has been sacred to me, providing me with solace amid my mental health struggles. Instead of the tranquility I customarily derive from concerts, I am left with anger on top of everything else. I have a concert with friend B scheduled in a month, for which tickets were purchased 4 months ago, featuring one of my top 5 favorite bands. And now, I am uncertain if I even want to attend. I am seriously considering selling my ticket because I feel deeply hurt and upset by the deceit, manipulation, and the loss of my only source of peace. I have few friends, and it takes me considerable time to cultivate trust due to past trauma, making this situation particularly painful. Note the entire issue of her flirting, dancing, or cuddling with this guy is a separate concern beyond the dishonesty and manipulation regarding our friendship as a cover to see him.